Hi guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you what I think are the best keybinds to improve your overall gameplay and also the reasons behind them. So let's get right into it. Okay, I'll just show you my keybinds now. I'll scroll through them quick and then you can pause if you want to look at them. And then afterwards I'll explain why I use what I use. I use pretty weird keybinds, but there's a theory behind why I use what I do use. On the whole, you want to be able to switch to your main shotgun as fast as possible. So I only bound 2 keys to my ring finger. Q for my main shotgun and tab for my pickaxe. You're not going to be using tab in combat, so you can give the ring finger the sole purpose of switching to your main weapon during combat, which I think can be very useful. This is also good because when you're editing, you always want to switch to a weapon before you edit, because else it often glitches out. So a lot of people use their index finger or even their thumb to edit, so like left alt or F or G. So during editing you'll be able to quickly switch to your weapon before making another edit. Moving on to C, I have C to pick up. A lot of people use E or F to pick up. These are definitely faster, but I think they could be utilised for other stuff like building, because building is more speed intensive and could benefit a lot more than picking up. I'd like to move on to my building keybinds. I have E and R and a side mouse button for my building keybinds. One of the reasons I do this is because if you've ever watched the streamers, they use like Q and F or like Q and E regularly. And if you spam between this, you'll quickly notice that your ring finger fatigues way faster than your index finger, because your index finger is the stronger finger and it's also more maneuverable. So this is why I have my platforms and my ramps on E and R. Another reason for this is because side to side action is way faster than up and down action. You often see like Tifu, he has F and V. F and V, yeah, it's fast, it's never going to be as fast as side to side. Side to side action is always the fastest. And I sometimes see E and C. Which might lead you to think, well, what do I have for reload? I actually have reload on middle mouse button because you're not going to be shooting when you're reloading, so I thought, why not have it as middle mouse button? And since R is such a easy to press key, and reloading is not like, it's not as speed intensive as building, then I thought I'd just swap that out. The reason I only use one thumb button is if I use both of them, then it puts off my aim. Whereas if you just use one, then your thumb's staying in one spot, so then it's like, it's not actually moving, so your grip's going to be real strong. This leads on to my second and third primary weapons, because you only really have like 3 really important weapons, your 2 shotguns and your AR. So I have 3 and 4. So this is right above my building, so I'll be able to switch between building and shooting really fast. I don't like using any of the mouse buttons because the mouse buttons put my aim off if I use the mouse buttons to switch to my weapons, so I use keyboard. So I have Q and 4 is for my double shotguns, but you might prefer to use Q as AR, 3 and 4 as double, which is quite a lot of people have 3 and 4. Yeah, so that's my main 3. And then I also have V and Z as my next ones, but they don't really matter because you're not going to be switching to those fast. V is pretty easy to press. Z I find not so much, but I have that as my mid slot, so it doesn't really matter. 3 and 4 is also, yeah, like side to side movement, always the fastest. That's why I have it on 3 and 4. I've seen some people build with Z and then have their main shotgun on 2. Like, if you look here, this is what you'd have to do to switch between your building and your wall, which is, well, for me, is really hard. But if I have it on Q as my main weapon, and then E and R, and then a side mouse button, that's just like QE to switch between. Okay, moving on to edit. I have edit on F. The reason I have edit on F is because it's in very close proximity to Q, so you can just go like that really easy, like spam Q then F. When you're building, you obviously have to go switch to your weapon when you're editing, and so if you had it for, like, example default, which would be having your main shotgun on 2 and then editing on G, that's like, you have to go like that. That is like so much harder than having Q and F, or even some people will have their double shotguns on 3 and 4, then you have to go 3Q, and that's obviously going to be way slower. And then I'll move on to my pyramid. I have pyramid on T, so like I said, having them all on the same line is way faster. For walls, also the thumb is slower than the index finger, so you can't switch as fast between the two, so that's why I only have one on the mouse button as well. Well, for building at least. This also gives the thumb the sole purpose of building, like, it's not going to move, it's just always going to be on the first mouse button. But then I do have it for trap, but like that's very occasional. You're not going to be placing traps very often, so that's not going to affect your building too much. Okay, so then I'll move on to my inventory. I have edit inventory on Alt because you can't actually jump while you're in your inventory, so that's why I have it on Alt. F is also, like I said before, having side-to-side movement is always the fastest. So you often have to strafe or like move around before you confirm your edit. So that means if you have it on F, then you can quickly go back to moving around and then switch back to F. Okay, the reason I use control as crouch is so you can strafe while you're crouch spamming, which is, I think, is very useful. A lot of people use C, but yeah, you can't move left and right while you're doing that, so that's why I don't use that. Or you can move left but not right. And I use F1 and F2 and F3. So what F1 does is F1 jumps, F2 shoots, and then F3 crouches. So this is like, this can mean you can like crouch peek without getting shot because you're just like instantly doing that. So I'll show you an example of what that would look like. View distance I have on Epic because it means stuff renders in earlier. So for example, if you had a gun in the distance, you're going to be able to identify that earlier if you have high render distance versus if you have low. Shadows I would have off because it makes the indoors much darker. Anti-aliasing I have on off because it's effectively like blurring the images. For example, if you had a tree in your character model, the edge of the tree and the edge of your character model will be merged together, so you effectively lose definition. Textures I would have on high if you can run over 100 FPS, but it's just all personal preference. Effects I would have on low because it makes seeing through things that you've just destroyed much faster. For example, if you hit a tree, there's like a whole lot of leaves and crap. Well, if you have it on high, you're going to get a lot more of these versus if you have it on low. So for the person that has it on low, they're going to be able to see the person that has it on high faster, which is obviously a good benefit. Post-processing is probably the most important one to have on low. It makes the sun glary and stuff at distances looks really blurry, and that's also quite a high performance hit. So this one is definitely you want to have off. VSync you want to have on off because it's just your computer trying to sync the amount of frames sent by the graphics card with the refresh rate of the monitor. This means there's going to be a delay because your graphics card is waiting for the monitor. So if you like moved your mouse, there'll be a slight delay before it actually happens on screen, so this is like a big no-no for having on. Having this off may mean you see 2 or 3 frames per screen. Just remember that keybinds are just a tool, they don't actually make you a better player. There's a lot of players like FaZe JMOC that use default keybinds and are still really good. So yeah, that's just the thing to remember. Well, thanks for watching. If any of this helped you or you have any improvements, please leave it in the comments. I would much appreciate it. If you want to keep on watching, I've got some more clips, but as far as the keybind tutorial goes, it finishes here. So, peace.
There you go, Johnny. That's what I like to see.
Only I had built better.
Probably because Katie's mic's so good.
Probably. I want to fix it for you guys.
Oh, good God.
Whoa, you're like ninja.
Dang.
Shit, I just slipped down.
Watch this, Reinhard. You ready? You ready, Reinhard?
Yeah.
This isn't even a macro. This is just me doing it regularly.
Oh wow.
He's so mad. He's honestly.
Nice, Johnny.
Yeah, they're coming.
On me, Daniel.
Hit him once. Nice. Hunting rifle. At least
Oh, I knocked one.
I knocked one!
We both knocked one. What the heck? That's insane. Oh, I got the kill.
I started him.